Action Park Media.
People that, are new to watching us, all four of us together, why don't you guys introduce yourself, give us a little background, and then we'll get into Joey.
Sure, a little bit of background. Basically, I ended up in federal court facing 200 plus years. And ultimately that was, made a lot of bad choices in my youth and repeatedly found myself back and forth in and out of court. And it ultimately ended up with me getting 213 years, mandatory minimum sentence, sent off to the feds. And that whole experience obviously, changed my whole life. A lot of ups and downs in that. We can get into
of course
how I ended up there. But ultimately, it's this woman right here who is largely responsible for me becoming the person that I am today. But ultimately, she became my chief advocate, believed in me when, there was no hope. There was no chance of me ever getting out. And she was determined to find a way, and she hung in there. And ultimately, after 20 plus years, I got my second chance. And, she was there at the door to literally pick me up.
That's amazing.
God bless you. God bless you.
Amazing, amazing woman. And we live an amazing life and, love life out here in Vegas, and any opportunity that we get to promote other incredible stories, people who've been through those same challenges, come out the other side and have had success. We don't hear enough about those stories.
That's the truth.
No, listen, I said on a couple episodes ago, they don't hurt us. I mean, I don't want to go to jail. We didn't volunteer to go, but they hurt the families. Look, they hurt her, kids, mothers. That's
of course.
They hurt.
213 years. I mean, your hair stands up on your arms.
And you got to do 85% of that.
Yeah, it's.
You got to live. You got to be where. What do you call it?
Couple lives.
Yeah, you do.
You got to be a red oak tree. They lived the 400 years. That's what.
That's insane. How did you feel going through this experience? Because clearly you knew what you were getting yourself into, correct?
Right. Yeah.
So when this all happened, how did you feel about it?
It was hard. I mean, I was able to, like you just said, I walked into this eyes wide open. I knew what his sentence was. I mean, I was younger at the time, and I kind of tried to deny it. Like, oh, we'll find a way.
Yeah.
It's unfair, blah, blah, blah. But the longer I was involved in it, the harder it was.
Okay.
Because the clock kept ticking. My biological clock kept ticking. But one day at a time.
Yeah.
God bless you.
I mean, you don't find that. I mean, you have to be one out of a trillion.
Yeah.
To stick with somebody, and now to do that and see where you guys are at today, it's incredible.
Beautiful. No, it's a great story.
Yeah. It was really hard for me. I mean, I knew nobody who was involved in prison life. I was very sheltered, off the boat Italian family. I knew nobody in prison. So when this started, and I didn't volunteer for this. I was looking for a guy in jail. I had a friend whose boyfriend wound up locked up with Adam. She's like, do you want to talk to him? And I'm like, no. Why? Not only is he in jail, he's a lifer, right? But then I was introduced to his story. He had a website that somebody had built for him. So I was looking at it after. I was like, hell no, I'm not talking to this guy. I have no reason to.
Yeah.
I woke up the next morning. I saw the website, and I'm like, he's really well written. He's a really nice guy. Obviously, he needs a friend. So I'll try. I'll talk to him.
So start out as a friend.
Started out as a friend.
Pen pal.
But as a pen pal, we all know how that always works out every
the pen
time.
pal.
But as I'm going through this and time's progressing, and I tried to tell people in the beginning, because you're excited in a relationship.
Of course.
But people are like, what's wrong with you? And sometimes I'd be like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, they think you're nuts.
What was your family saying?
My family was not interested. They didn't want to talk about it. I got in one fight with my mom about it. And she was sick at the time. She had cancer. So I'm like, I'm not going to cause more stress to her.
Right.
So we just decided not to talk about it. When I would go to visit him, we'd go to work, that type of thing. But while I was doing this, I knew nobody. People are judging me, saying the nastiest things to my face. People I don't even know.
No, they're sick, these people.
So I started a nonprofit to help other women in my position, because when I was looking for somebody, everybody out there was, Bonnie and Clyde. It was very street life, and I don't live that life.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured there have to be other people out there like me who want a second chance. That's it. Want to close the door on this and move forward. So that's what I did. I built it. I met so many people who actually were supportive. Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, we'll donate to the.
Thank you so much.
Joey does a lot of charity work. I mean,
definitely
over the holiday, what did we get up to? 110,000 we gave away to charity.
Wow.
2 weeks.
Amazing.
2 weeks. I mean, he has people support him from all over the world. It's incredible. It really is. We just gave our last check to prison reform.
Yeah.
To families whose kids are home for the holidays, don't have nobody to buy them gifts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a parent in jail.
Yeah.
We gave him $5,000.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. And listen, it's a good experience, but like Joey always says, I mean, it doesn't just affect you guys who are in jail, it affects the families. I mean,
Look, I mean,
yeah, wives, kids. I mean, you know, 2 daughters at home, and you know, to go through that kind of stuff. I mean, it's traumatic.
And with these long sentences too,
Yeah.
you watch the kids grow up. There was this woman I remember vividly. She would have to hand her baby to people when she was going through the metal detector to be cleared to go in. And when her husband got out, I think the baby was 10 at that point. And you just watch these kids grow up in a visiting room.
I went away. My daughter was 1 and 2. I
Yeah.
came home. They were 15 and 14.
Wow. And how were you
Like, ready
able
to drive.
yeah. Were you able to maintain a relationship while you were
they
inside?
came. They used to come with, you know, believe it or not, I hated visits. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they used to get on my, like, in the summertime, I don't want them sitting in a visiting room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to, you know, go to the shore, they'd come like, I was far. I was never close.
Yeah, he was always far away.
I was in Texas, Kentucky, Indiana. So I used to make them come 4 times a year, you know, with holidays, once in the summer. I want them to go on the beach. I don't want them to sit in the fucking visiting room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an experience. Like, I never dealt with it. I never been to prison. So to hear the stories
You might be going soon.
when Joey tells the stories, I'm literally sitting there like in shock. Like, before we got on camera, you guys were, you know, talking, and it's just the things that you hear it's just amazing. It really is.
Look, I mean, she'll know.
Yeah.
Till you live it, you got to live it.
You have to let it,
Like, everybody believes what they read in the paper, what the government says. They believe it.
Yeah.
Until you live it.
Well, listen, there are some things that I think back about that I can't believe they actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, half the time, I don't even want to talk about them. There are so many things that I don't share because they sound crazy to me, even though I lived through it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they'll think you're nuts.
So let's get into how you and Joey's relationship came about. I think we should start there and give everybody a background. When's the last time you 2 guys seen each other?
In 2000, right?
2000.
In court and in FDC.
Yep.
Yeah, we were fighting trial, and he came in with his co-defense. They were fighting trial.
And listen, just to be clear to everybody out there, there's only a handful of individuals
That go to
each
trial.
year that go to trial, right? So you get to know who else is going to trial, right?
We used to go to court. Listen, we went to court for months. There was 400 guys a day going down. What are you
Every
going
day.
down for? I don't know. They woke me up. It's a mistake. Ain't no mistake. They're all going down to testify.
Yeah.
Wow.
All
That's
of
it.
them.
All of them.
So you know that you're sitting in your bunk or your cell, and you
Or we're in the bullpen. They used to keep us separate.
Okay.
And they keep all the rats in one thing.
They have the big cells.
Yeah, the big
All
cells.
the rats take up the big cells, and then the guys.
That's just
Those
amazing.
who are going to trial or you know have other court proceedings are all crammed in these small cells.
Did
together.
did you guys know each other before that, or know of each other from the street?
No, of each other.
Of
but
each
I
other.
didn't know
Okay.
that. Yeah.
That's crazy. So now, when you're going through your thing, when you get in trouble, take us back to then when you're going through court. How does that all transpire? You know, you get arrested, things like that.
Well, let me give you a little bit of the background.
Sure.
Because, you know, I had interaction with the FBI from the time I was 16, juvenile. And I created some animosity, but I was a kid, right? Like, I was a kid. These are grown men. They're agents. Like, it shouldn't have been personal, but they took it personal. They came to my high school, you know, when I was 16 years old, and I had the priest, who was the principal, the head of the school, come out and say, you know, what are you doing here? They're like, well, can we look at some yearbooks? We just, you know, we want to talk to you, one of your students. And he's like, do you have a warrant? A warrant? And they're like, no. He's like, get the fuck out of here.
God bless that
The
priest.
priest back
Who was
then.
that?
The
Father who?
priest, Father Ralph.
Father Ralph. God bless you.
Father Ralph said, get out.
Yeah.
And me, you know, I'm emboldened as a kid. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Right.
Meanwhile, you know, a couple months later, they're like, you got to go too. Like, we can't have the feds here.
Of course.
So I'm out of there. And basically from that point, like, things went downhill for me. I end up in state prison, you know, caught up in a burglary, robbery, bunch of other things. I go away for a few years, and all of those guys that I thought I could depend on were not there. But when I got out, I tried to reconnect, and I was basically off and running.
Yeah. There was no stopping after that.
No, at that point, it was like, I was all in, and I went back across that bridge, you know, because I'm in South Jersey and I'm supposed to be on parole. I'm checking in Camden County. And I remember that first time going across the bridge, I'm like, they're watching me, like they're going to pull me over. I'm going to get violated. And when I didn't, it was on.
Yeah, it was fair game after that.
It was on. And, you know, a lot of the guys that I grew up with, I went to school with, many of them were, you know, in the streets, Delaware Ave, Old City, you know, and the drugs back then in the late 90s were flowing. And they were like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, they were calling your name.
I'm off and running.
Right.
And, you know, I had a PO who was on me hard. Like, none of it was easy. And they were constantly sweating me. And somehow I managed to avoid, you know, for a couple years. You know, and a lot of guys say, hey, I had a good run. I made it for a couple years. And from all outward appearances, like, it looked like I was living the life, right? You know, I'm, you know, VIP everywhere, front of the line. And for all of those who were like in my peer group, my age, they're like, damn, like, this is a great life you're leading. But it wasn't, man.